Welcome back, geeks and nerds. Here we are for another episode of Real Geeks, and this time around, we're reviewing The Meg.
No, not that Meg. No, not Meg Griffith either. Yes, the one, the giant shark movie.
It's the Megalodon.
I swear in that scene, I could literally hear Cinema Sins going,
Roll credits.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, real quick, we're out off the coast of China. There's this big science center that's doing all kinds of oceanography work and all kinds of marine biology work and whatnot, and they're exploring this trench in the bottom of the ocean that's...
Yeah, the Marianas Trench,
I think this is the Laurentian Trench or something like that.
No, I think they didn't specifically say Marianas. Like, is the deepest ocean trench in the world.
Yeah. In any case, there's like this layer of gaseous whatever that's blanketing over the actual bottom, so there's a bunch of unexplored territory. They venture into it, discover this whole ecosystem, and of course, the Megalodon is down there.
Yeah, this is basically one of the first moments when the movie goes, fuck science! Because, the leader of this research facility goes, yeah, we have this theory that the trench may be deeper than we think, and the bottom is not actually the bottom. And I don't know about you, but I immediately went, bullshit!
Well, they got they're a company that's had multi-billions spent on them to do all this research. I mean,
yeah,
they gotta come up with something, I guess.
Yeah, it was like 1.3 billion spent by Rainn Wilson, the apparently part-time avatar for the audience.
Pretty much. I think out of all the characters in the movie, I think his character was the one that was being played by literally the one actor who was just openly, I know what fucking movie I'm in.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to let this pass. I'm going to, live up to this.
He, in some ways, was probably the most confusing character in the movie, because, like I said, part of the time he's the avatar of the audience, because he's asking all the questions we're thinking.
Pretty much.
There's other parts where he's the slimy billionaire who's just out for profit.
Yes. And
it's almost like his character motivation changes more than Dane DeHaan and Valerian. Like, dude.
To be fair, he's playing a billionaire, and I'm sorry, as Brent Butt would say, when you have that kind of money, you gotta get a little nutty anyway.
That's true. And, I mean, again, he's the character you might have the most problems with, but at the same time, like you said, he is the one that's most going, fuck it, I don't care.
Exactly. So, of course, Megalodon attacks their sub. They're trapped down there. They need to rescue them. And, of course, they bring in Jason Statham's character, Jonas, to deal with it, who, in the prologue of the film, ran into a similar situation. I guess it was 2 years prior or something. Give or take, something along those lines. So he's the one person who is most adept to deal with the situation.
Basically, you know that generic story hero who everyone thinks is just bug nuts crazy because of how they handled some event in the past, but this event happens where he's the one most conveniently qualified to deal with it? Statham's that guy.
Basically, they rescue, but then of course the shark manages to get through that gaseous layer or whatever, because in terms of escaping. Something happens. I won't say too much.
We'll get to that shortly.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, shark manages to get up into open water.
Because of course he does.
And then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
That I can't really say much more without going into spoilers.
Well, yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that. But as I was telling Mike before we went on camera, looking at IMDb, I was like, this cast, there's a few people of like movie fame, a few people of TV fame, that sort of thing. But it was interesting to note how several of the actors have worked together with each other before on previous projects, some multiple times. And it was just interesting to see how, like, as characters in the movie, they seem to jive very well with each other. And I think that was a reflection of the fact that the actors themselves have worked together with each other before and have built up rapport with each other, and that helped jive them together very well on set, just as much as the characters had in the movie.
I don't entirely agree, because I don't think the chemistry between Jason Statham and Lee Bing was quite there. But there are a lot of scenes. To be fair,
there were literally several characters in the whole movie that were trying to force them together throughout the whole movie. So, and this is one thing that I appreciate that the movie did. I know this is slightly spoilery, but like, there's no big fucking kiss at the end. Like, this is a trope that has been done time and time again in these types of scenarios, where the main male lead and the main female lead, after all the turmoil that they've gone through in these harrowing situations, finally have this romantic kiss at the end because they've been through all this shit and they're going to end up together.
God, aren't you even gonna kiss her goodbye?
No. Not the case in this movie. There was hints that an attraction was there. There was hints that that a relationship could begin, but they didn't go that far with it. And I kind of appreciated that, because in a movie this batshit crazy, having that layer of realism kind of humanized them a little bit.
Oh yeah, and especially in her case, where, like I said, the chemistry, it didn't quite work, but at the same time, she does get a number of one-liners with him that she hits well enough that I'm willing to forgive.
Yeah, I would attribute some of the lack of chemistry to maybe a language barrier.
Yeah, quite possibly, because there was another thing that I was planning to bring up, where I think she did, I think her and the little girl especially did probably learn a lot of their lines phonetically, or were having them fed to them off camera or something.
Because at least a third or a half of the time they were actually speaking Mandarin.
Yeah, and when they were speaking English, you could hear those slight pauses. But again, I think this is the type of movie where you can get away with that.
Yeah, and speaking of the little girl, she stole every scene she was in. She was hilarious.
Okay. Also, speaking of her, and relating to what I mentioned about chemistry earlier, the fact that Jason Statham has better chemistry with an 8-year-old girl than the female lead in this movie is kind of amazing to me.
But I think he jived so well with her, more so than he did with the rest of the cast, because she too was an outsider. This was literally her second movie role ever.
I didn't get a chance to look her up on IMDb, but yeah, I could believe that.
So she's also the only notable child in the movie outside of that one fat kid extra in the beach scene.
I'm sorry, I love that fat kid. He was just the perfect stereotype whiny kid in every way.
That whole thing with him and his mother was a complete homage to Jaws and the beach scene in that movie. And speaking of which, homages were a fairly notable thing in this movie. And honestly, I think we just need to do the spoiler warning right now.
Okay, I think we have to do this. 3, 2, 1. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Jason Statham singing Disney.
He's trying to keep calm as he's swimming towards the sharks, so that, and blah 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 blah. That's how he keeps calm. Of course, that's how he keeps calm. He sings Disney.
And like, in all seriousness, this is a movie where you're either gonna buy in or you're not.
Mm.
And if you haven't bought in, by the time we see Jason Statham doing Disney, you have no soul. Because
I love the bits near the beginning when, or I shouldn't say near the beginning, but like when Jason Statham finally arrives at the center, and they're all heading towards the elevator, and then he's talking. Ruby Rose's character pipes up. She's like the tech expert or whatever, and Jason Statham's character Jonas makes an offhanded comment, and she retorts, and then he's like, no, I'm actually kidding, because actually I think you're the one person here who knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, I think this was the point where I think he had said something about the look of the place when he first gets there.
Yeah.
And she identifies herself as the one who designed the facility.
Yeah.
And the elevator door opens, and the scene we get may as well have been Captain America walking onto the bridge of the helicarrier, to the point that you pretty much expect Jason Statham to hand Cliff Curtis a 10. And then he looks back and like, no, we're cool. I can absolutely believe you designed this.
Yeah.
Which actually does bring up a point that I caught on another review. I think this is one of us.net's review that kind of curtails into a more general point that this is not the kind of role Ruby Rose is known for.
No.
Because she's, of course, with Resident Evil, the third Triple X, John Wick 2,
Chapter 2, yeah.
is predominantly known as an action star.
Mm-hmm. Not to say that there aren't action moments in this movie.
No, there aren't, but she doesn't really get at least very many of them.
No, the few action-y moments that she gets is really just her falling in the water and dealing with that.
Exactly, and that I think kind of goes into my more general point of, I think as an actor, this is that movie where you're going, this script is stupid, but I get to try these new things. Yeah. I'm in.
Absolutely. The moment that we learn that there's two of them.
Oh, you mean the moment the writers went, oh, we only have an hour of material? Quick, we need another Megalodon! Which just to go back to that flashback for a second that started the movie, you would almost have expected to find out that the second Megalodon was the one from the flashback. Because if I remember, the way they presented it was that layer of hyper cold gas is what's keeping the Megalodon that far down underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the heat geyser of plot convenience occurs, because I'm sorry, but let's not kid ourselves here.
I mean, those things do exist down.
Oh, they do, absolutely.
So I mean, at least they're using, again, hints of realism.
Oh.
In a movie that is just batshit crazy. Yeah, that was really
like the exact right geyser of the right size at the right time.
Convenient geyser is convenient.
Oh yeah. And they do specifically establish when the sub that his ex-wife is on is down there.
Yeah.
That no one has ever gone that far down. No one has ever seen what's under that kind of gaseous plateau thing.
Yeah.
So you hear that, and as I was thinking about this after the movie, I kind of went, where the fuck did the Megalodon from the flashback come from then?
Yeah, to which I think the movie would just say, don't worry about it.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And like as I mentioned earlier, where this movie gives you point after point to either buy in or walk out,
Mm-hmm.
like before they even get to Taiwan to pick up Jason Statham at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no. The point where
the fact
I
that
went,
they had the Taiwanese rendition of
there it is.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
That's where I went. Okay, fuck it, I'm in. The theme.
The show that I went to go see it at. Literally everybody in the audience cracked up laughing when that music started playing.
The fact that the theme to a movie about a giant killer shark, the most ruthless predator on the planet, is not only Tony Basil's Oh Mickey, it's a Taiwanese translation of Oh Mickey.
Yeah.
May actually be the single most insane thing in this entire movie. And with the liberties this thing takes, that's an accomplishment.
I love that whole moment there when they're coming to convince him to come join them. He's like, "You're gonna do this. I'm gonna say no. You're gonna do this. I'm gonna say no. You're gonna do this. I'm gonna say no." And then they show him the thing, and it's like, "Oh, PTSD. Okay, I'm coming."
Yeah, they pull out the recording of the last transmission from his ex-wife, and like, of course, it ends with her yelling, "You know, Jonas was right. Jonas was right." You can see Statham going, "Fuck." Yeah, I got nothing. And then it all
again another one of those tropes that's wrapped up into his character. Very honestly, like a nice little bow, really.
And it all but cuts to Cliff Curtis going, "Yep, I saw that coming, and you didn't." And then of course, like, they get to what, let's be honest, is the live-action Sea Lab 2020. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, it is.
Kind of looked like a giant jellyfish, honestly. The design, which I kind of liked.
And they show the big display outside of all the whales, stingrays, manta rays, like literally every form of
creature that the Megalodon would feed on.
Yeah, all conveniently in the same place, and you're kind of sitting there going, okay. This is beautiful, and I will absolutely applaud the visual effects department. But on the other hand, you can't help but think, there is no goddamn way.
Yeah. Well, it's done by Warner Brothers as well, so I can't help but feel like this was almost testing ground for when they go do that scene that we see in the trailer for Aquaman in the aquarium.
You know, the sad thing is, from what I've seen in the Aquaman trailer, and I love the Aquaman trailer, don't get me wrong, it feels like a 90s action film, and I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
But, and it kills me to say this, the Meg might have better undersea cinematography than a tentpole Warner Brothers film. Going into this movie, there's three things that I just have to bring up right now. Now, sometimes with certain movies, the experience that I had just getting to the theater kind of coincides with the film nicely. Like with with Black Panther, I had the pleasure of showing up early enough, seeing lines around the food court at Park Lane, seeing people dressed up and taking pictures and just smiles everywhere.
Yeah.
Basically like a 20s, 30s old film going experience. Wonderful thing to see.
Absolutely.
Here's what happened with the Meg. And I love this.
Oh boy.
So, I'm on the bus on my way to the theater from work, and I go to buy my ticket on the app on my phone, and I get through the whole process. I get to the point where it gives me the option to add my ticket to Apple Wallet.
Okay.
I get an error message. This has never happened. So I tried again. Error message. Error message, error message, error message, error message. I did get the ticket. The app would not let me publicly admit that I had bought a ticket to go and see the Meg.
Wow.
So even the Cineplex mobile app is going, you are not telling people you went to see this.
Just wow.
This is the only time that this has ever happened in the entirety of my buying my movie tickets online.
Part of the fun of it too is like what happens like in the audience when you're watching the movie. Couple things for me. I went to see it with my wife, who is expecting right now.
And there was much rejoicing.
There were literally 3 moments in the movie where it legitimately made her jump. In all 3 of those moments, the baby kicked.
Okay, you know what? I initially was going to dock this movie for the jump scares, because while it may have been unavoidable, I think they did go early on go to that well one time too many. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm going to forgive them for it because that's funny. That's amazing.
And then the other moment was literally as the credits were rolling, and it identified that the movie is in fact a novel to movie adaptation. and there was a guy a few rows down from me who was like, "This is based on a book?"
Yep.
And then I piped up and said, "Actually, it's based on a series of books." He's like, "What? 10?
What?
I need to check that shit
As
out."
I understand, it was actually 9 books, but still. The Meg, it's the book, Steve Altman's The Meg, Something of the Deep. This is the first of a 9-book series. Possibly 10, but the number I heard was 9. But I mean, either way.
Point being, it's a long-ass book series about giant fucking sharks.
And it's like, you can't hear that and not think that, Steve Altman, like I said, I believe his name is, bravo, sir, for pulling that off in the first place. But at the same time, how? From the moment I saw the first trailer, I kind of half expected to see Jason Statham trying to do Moby Dick, which would have been kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of disappointed that there at no point does he basically go, "Call me Ishmael." Because you want to hear that with that accent. I'm sorry.
Kind of do, yeah.
But at the same time, the other big thing going in was the joke that it's Jason Statham versus a giant shark. I think the only way that this could have been better would have been if Don King actually showed up just for the sole purpose of saying, "Only in America." Yeah, the reference is dated. Google it, kids. It's just the simple fact that they had the balls to actually do Jason Statham versus a giant shark and have Statham win. Again, the balls on this film.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
My wife said that one of the her favorite shot in the whole movie was a shot with the guy paddleboarding out, and the shark is right underneath him, and he doesn't even notice. Like, to be fair, in real life, paddleboarders usually, as they're paddling out, they don't notice a lot of what's going on underneath them because it's so calm and everything. So the fact that even a giant shark, they don't notice, I thought that was a good shot. I love that the dog was named Pippin.
You know what, that dog honestly kind of annoyed me. Because, like, on the one hand, there's that rule that critics will often bring up that, you know, you don't kill the dog.
No.
And
I thought they killed the dog, and then you learn they didn't kill the dog, and I'm just like, yay!
Oh yeah, like, you're happy to see the dog alive, but when I saw the dog again at the end of the movie, I think the problem was it was just too long between when they cut away before the shark got anywhere near him to make it look like the shark killed the dog.
Right.
And then they went, oh no, we didn't actually do it. Like, either do it or don't. Or if you have to do it the way they did it, take out a few scenes between when they imply killing the shark, killing the
dog.
Yeah, that one. Oh, killing the shark would have made this a much more insane movie. and revealing that the dog is still alive, because I did have that moment of, really, you want me to believe that tiny dog has been swimming in the ocean this entire time? There is an entire dogfight sequence between the two leads and the shark that is bookended by this dog, which, again,
it's real rough.
I'm gonna give you a Caruso for that. God damn it! I can't believe I didn't think of that! Fuck! And I had lines ready about how we were going to sink our teeth into this review and everything. Damn it!
Ratings. I gotta give it a 4 out of 5.
You're either going to buy in or you're not. And the movie gives you plenty of opportunities to make that choice right away. If you're going to buy in, it's a 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, this is basically what would happen if someone were to give Asylum Studios money. Like, this is, I think, very much what they would do. If you're not willing to buy in, it's a 2. Because if you're not willing to just go with it, the movie is going to drive you crazy. But in either case, I think this is the kind of movie that you can A, have playing in the background at a party, where people are getting drunk. You're just there to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go to the movie theater, enjoy the 3D, because again, there's some nice visual work here.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're at the theater, you don't know what to watch, and you've seen all the major stuff they're already playing. Go in, check out the Meg. You're gonna be entertained. You're gonna have a laugh, and it's 2 hours of air conditioning. So in that scenario, you can't lose.
It's been a hot summer.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, that's our review for the Meg. Really had a lot of fun with this one.
Oh, absolutely. I'm amazed that they didn't have the balls to do a stinger. But
yeah, they couldn't quite sink their teeth into that one.
No, you get nothing for stealing my line. So, with that attempted comedy theft, think this is the part where we sign off.
Well, we'll see you with Peppermint next month. It's a wrap.
Real Geeks is a Geeksploitation production. Quote goes here.